Welcome, focused learners, to this high-yield explainer. Today, we're taking those incredibly dense corporate strategy frameworks and transforming them into a masterclass full of memorable, real-world examples. If your goal is to absolutely crush your upcoming exams, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down these complex theories into actionable concepts that will seriously stick in your mind long after we wrap up today.
Okay, let's quickly map out our syllabus. We're covering 4 main areas today. First, the corporate portfolio. Second, strategy development methods. Third, strategic option evaluation. And finally, costing for strategic decisions.
Starting right off with Section 1, the corporate portfolio. Basically, where are we now? This is all about how a parent company manages its mix of business units to actually create value rather than, destroy it.
So think of the classic BCG matrix, like a giant sorting hat for products. It categorizes them based on market growth rate and relative market share. You've got your stars, your cash cows, your problem children, which some people call question marks, and your dogs. Knowing exactly where a product sits on this grid tells a corporate parent exactly what to do with it. Should they build it up, hold it, harvest the cash, or just completely divest?
To really anchor this in your memory for the exam, let's look at a massive company like Unilever. Hellmann's Mayonnaise, that is their ultimate cash cow. It's in a low-growth market, but it has a massive market share. So basically prints money with very little advertising. And what does Unilever do with that cash? They pump it directly into their star products, like Rexona deodorant, which needs heavy investment to stay on top in a really fast-growing market. Meanwhile, they divest their dogs, like their Chilean ice cream business, just to free up that tied-up capital.
But what if you aren't chasing profits? The public sector equivalent of the BCG matrix swaps out market share and cash flow for something entirely different. Here, we're measuring an organization's ability to serve effectively against its political attractiveness and public support. It's a completely different scorecard.
Examiners absolutely love testing this specific matrix, so definitely pay attention to the terms here. Take a political hotbox, for instance. Think of a struggling national health service or state-owned railway. It has massive public support. Literally everyone wants it, but it really struggles to deliver services effectively, usually because of funding constraints. Nailing these distinctions is going to score you some seriously easy points.
Moving on to Section 2, strategy development methods. We know where we are, so how do we grow? Let's look at the exact methods a company can use to expand its empire.
The big debate here is organic growth versus business combinations. Organic growth is like Coca-Cola rolling out new flavors and flexing a $4 billion ad budget to win market share from the inside out. It's way less disruptive, but man, it is slow. On the flip side, business combinations, like Procter & Gamble just going out and buying Gillette, give you incredibly swift market access. The catch, you risk totally overpaying and dealing with some massive corporate culture clashes.
Now, synergy. You will almost certainly see this word on your exam. It's basically the holy grail of acquisitions, the idea that 1 + 1 somehow equals 3. When P&G and Gillette combined, they didn't just add their sales together. They formed 100 global integration teams, shared management expertise, and slashed operating costs in a way neither could have ever pulled off alone.
But hey, what if buying another company is just too expensive or culturally risky? That's where strategic alliances come in. This is a brilliant workaround where 2 companies team up and share resources to hit a common goal. But, and this is key, they remain entirely separate, independent entities. You get the perks of teamwork without the headache of a full merger.
For the exam, Starbucks should be your mental hook for alliances. They are absolute masters at this. They partnered with Barnes & Noble to get physical coffee shops into bookstores. They tapped PepsiCo's massive distribution network to get bottled frappuccinos into grocery aisles. And they even allied with Alibaba to crack the super complex Chinese delivery ecosystem. They achieved massive global scale, and they never had to give up a single ounce of their independence.
Okay, Section 3, strategic option evaluation. We have all these growth options, but is the one we picked actually a good idea? How do we choose?
Right now, lock this mnemonic into your brain. SAF. SAF. Suitability, acceptability, and feasibility. These are your 3 non-negotiable pillars. Suitability asks, does this make logical sense in our current environment? Acceptability looks at the risk, the return, and how stakeholders will react. And feasibility asks the tough question, do we actually have the cash and resources to pull us off?
So let's test this on a classic exam scenario. Imagine a local railway, Great Eastern Trains, wants to expand overseas into Kazakhstan. Walk the examiner through SAF. Is it suitable? Yeah, they know how to run trains. Is it acceptable? Maybe not. There's a huge risk of a cultural clash there. And is it feasible? Actually, no way. They already have 75% financial gearing, meaning they're up to their eyeballs in debt. No bank is funding that overseas adventure. Boom, strategy rejected.
Which brings us to Section 4, Costing for Strategic Decisions. A strategy can look amazing on a whiteboard, but if the numbers don't make sense, the whole thing falls apart. Okay, lean in for this one because it is a classic exam trap that gets people every single time. When you are making a strategic choice, you can only look at relevant costs, and relevant costs are strictly future, incremental cash flows. That means historical costs, money that's already gone, and general fixed overheads. Those are sunk costs. Do not let them influence your decision today.
Let's use the Grey Gables Hotel deciding on a wedding as our memory hook here. Which costs actually matter? The wages for the temporary waiters and the special cleaning fee for the room? Those are incremental. They only happen if the wedding happens. But the fixed supervisor's salary? They're getting paid whether they are managing a massive wedding or just staring at an empty hotel lobby. So you completely ignore that fixed cost in your calculation.
But what if taking on a new project isn't just about extra work? What if your factory is running at 100% capacity and saying yes to a special contract means you literally have to stop making something else?
That scenario perfectly introduces opportunity cost. This is huge. It's the lost contribution from the best alternative you had to reject. If you move a superstar worker to a new project and you lose $10,000 of profit they would have made on their old project, that 10 grand is a very real, very relevant opportunity cost that you have to budget for.
And this ties perfectly into marginal costing. Marginal costing strips away all the noise of fixed costs to isolate just the variable costs. So, if your total costs go up by $45 when you make an extra 20 units, your marginal cost is exactly $2.25 per unit. Simple, clean, and highly effective for decision-making.
On the exam, you'll use this marginal analysis to prove your strategic choices. The biggest one? Closure decisions. Say a business unit is running at a net loss. Everyone's instinct is to immediately shut it down. But marginal analysis shows us that if the unit brings in even a little bit of positive contribution, meaning it covers its variable costs and chips in just a bit toward the overall fixed costs, you shouldn't necessarily close it. Shutting it down just forces your other divisions to carry that fixed cost burden alone.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to challenge you with an ultimate synthesis question. Can you connect everything we just talked about? If a cash cow division wants an organic growth strategy that has a positive marginal contribution but requires high financial gearing, does it pass the SAFT test? Think about how a cash cow's cash generation interacts with the feasibility of high debt. Connect those dots, use the frameworks like a checklist, and you're absolutely going to conquer corporate strategy. Keep reviewing these concepts, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next explainer.